Hey everybody, it's Greg and Jan of Strange RV Tours, and we are at a very historic location in Fort Worth, Texas. We are at the Oakwood Cemetery. This is the cemetery where Luke Short and Jim Longhair Courtright are both buried. And I'll tell you a little bit about them and some neat, interesting little facts as we move along here. But for right now, this is where we are. Come join us. Okay, this is Luke Short's gravestone, his tombstone. I don't know if you can read it or not, but it says L.L. Short, 1854 to 1893. And Mr. Short was a famous gunfighter in the Old West. He killed 14 men. He was also he was involved in one of the famous shootings in Tombstone, Arizona, where he killed Charlie Storms. Right in front of the Oriental Theater, Bat Masterson and Wyatt Earp were witnesses to what happened. But he was a lookout for Wyatt Earp while Wyatt Earp was dealing a Pharaoh card game inside the Oriental Saloon when Mr. Charlie Storms, who was also a famous gunfighter, came up and basically slapped him and didn't expect that he would do anything back. Well, he didn't know Mr. Short. Mr. Short was a short man. Not a short man. He was 5'6", 140 pounds. He was a smaller man, but he had nerves of steel, and he wasn't going to take that lying down. So he stood up. The two got into a tussle. Mr. Storms dared Mr. Short to pull his gun. Bat Masterson stepped between them. Bat Masterson was actually a friend of Charlie Storms. And he knew that being a friend of Charlie Storms and being a friend of Mr. Short, that Mr. Short would not pull his gun if he stepped between them. So he stepped between them, calmed them down, and took Mr. Short, Luke Short, out in front of the saloon and was basically telling him, don't worry about it. Mr. Storms has got a little bit of a temper. He's drunk tonight, but he's basically a good guy. When all of a sudden Mr. Storms walked up behind him, had his gun pulled out, and grabbed Mr. Short. And Luke Short was quicker on the draw than Mr. Storms was. He pulled his gun, put it up to Mr. Storms' heart, pulled the trigger, actually shot him 3 times before he hit the ground. Mr. Storms died there on the streets right in front of the Oriental Saloon. But the reason we are here, other than that, is Mr. Short, Luke Short, was the owner. He had either a 3rd or a 50% interest in a famous saloon here in Fort Worth called the White Elephant Saloon. And there was basically a somewhat corrupt ex-lawman in town who was running a protection racket, charging the casinos or the gambling houses protection money. And his name was Longhaired Jim Courtright. Longhaired Jim Courtright basically sent a message to Mr. Short that he needed to pay up. Mr. Short wasn't willing to do it, so he challenged him to a gunfight there in front of the White Elephant Saloon. During the gunfight, Mr. Courtright, who is known to be a very fast trigger, when he pulled his gun, one of 2 things either happened. Either the gun jammed, or else some people say that the gun got caught on his keychain. But either way, Mr. Short pulled his first, shot Mr. Courtright, blew his thumb off on his gun hand, and before Mr. Courtright could move his gun into his other hand, he shot him several more times, killing him. In all, he was shot 5 times and died there on the streets in front of the White Elephant Saloon. Mr. Short died several years. I believe the gunfight happened in 1887. Mr. Short died 5 or 6 years later, 1893, of congestive heart failure. And like I said, he is in section 20 here at the Oakwood Cemetery. Okay, we are here in front of Jim Longhaired Courtright's tombstone. As we mentioned, Jim Longhaired Courtright was the loser in the last real gunfight in the West. He ran a protection racket, and he was very fond of saying when Colt made his pistol, it made all men equal. And he is located in section 27 here at the Oakwood Cemetery in Fort Worth, Texas. This cemetery is known to be haunted. It's supposed to be haunted by Old West pioneers, and there's been many an occurrence of hauntings, and they've had all kinds of ghost hunters out here and all kinds of fun stuff like that. So, and if I turn around here, I can actually show you where the front gate of this cemetery is. Kind of give you an idea of exactly where this grave is, but directly in front of us, right there, is the entrance to the cemetery. It's kind of ironic that the two men involved in the last gunfight in the West died 6 years apart, but are buried less than 200 yards from each other. We're going to be pulling up here in a minute in front of the original location of the White Elephant Saloon. This is where the last gunfight in the West happened. The last real gunfight between Luke Short and long-haired Jim Courtright.
Arrived. Dallas Cowboys? Is that 308?
It's one of these buildings right along in here.
That's 310. It's Earthbones.
Earthbones, right there, okay. And 308 and 310 together was where the saloon was. And so the gunfight actually probably took place right where our car is sitting right now, in front of the saloon.
Wow.
It's pretty cool.
That's neat.
Yeah.
Yeah. Look at the old buildings.
Now the saloon itself has moved to the Fort Worth Stockyards. We'll be going to it next, and we'll give you a peek of the famous saloon. Sometime in the 1970s, the White Elephant Saloon moved here to the Fort Worth Stockyards on Exchange Street, and they left where their original location was, over in Hell's Half Acre. Here's the outdoor of the White Horse or White Elephant Saloon. White Elephant Saloon. Fort Worth's most famous gunfight took place in front of the White Elephant on February 8, 1887, creating a permanent place in Fort Worth history for the saloon. The White Elephant was then located on Main Street downtown near an area called Hell's Half Acre. Facing off was the saloon's owner Luke Short, a friend of Wyatt Earp, Bat Masterson, and Doc Holliday, and T.I. long-haired Jim Courtright, a well-known marksman, deputy fire marshal, and former city marshal. When the smoke and dust had cleared, Courtright lay dying, his gun jammed before he could fire a shot. The White Elephant Saloon is renamed CD's Bar and Grill for the filming of Walker, Texas Ranger starring Chuck Norris. We are inside of the White Elephant Saloon. This is the famous Luke Short Bar.
Yeah. I told you guys to bring that out. But I told you guys to bring that out. 2. We can at least start watching your show Friday.
What do you think, Jan?
You need to watch that.
I feel like I've gone back in time.
Why not? You ain't doing nothing.
Okay, here we go. This collection is what named the saloon the White Elephant Saloon. These elephants are from all over the world.
Alright folks, I hope you enjoyed this video about the last gunfight in the real West. And our trip to the White Elephant Saloon and our trips to see Longhaired Jim Courtright and Luke Short's gravesites. If you enjoyed our video, please hit the like button. If you really enjoyed our videos, please hit the subscribe button. And please hit the little bell so that you get updates as to our future videos. Is there anything you'd like to add, Miss Janet?
No, this is like going back in time, and it's pretty cool.
Yeah, this place is really cool. If you get a chance, and their beers are fantastic.
Yeah.
Come down and take a sip.
Yeah.
Thanks again. We'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.